Hello, everybody. Welcome to Module 5. So today we're going to be talking about vocabulary, and we're going to first go over some of the assignments for this module. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so under the AIM section, we can see that this week we are going to be learning about how to select appropriate vocabulary. We're going to learn about vocabulary techniques, how to instruct students in word features, in aspects of vocabulary like homophones, homographs, figurative language, vocabulary with multiple meanings and connotations. So this is our vocabulary section of the class. Let's talk about what you're going to be reading. You're going to be reading Chapter 7, entitled Building Vocabulary. And then there are two videos to watch with vocabulary strategies that I'd like you to pay close attention to, because those are really amazing strategies. So let's talk about your two assignments for this week. You first have your discussion forum, and we're doing another video discussion. In this module, you will be using the video note tool to create a video demonstration teaching a vocabulary strategy. Again, you're going to demonstrate a vocabulary. We're not going to talk about the strategy, but we're going to actually demonstrate it. So all of us can learn new strategies. That's what you'll be doing for your module discussion forum. Your big assignment is you have another case study. So this is our second case study. Now, I want to tell you from the very beginning that I have asked IDT to make a correction, because student B in our case study is a third grader, not a fourth grader, a third grader. So hopefully by the time when you guys get online, this will be corrected. But student B is a third grader. He's an English language learner. He's been in the United States for 2 years. His parents do not speak English. So we have his iReady scores, and you can see that this student has tested out of phonological awareness, phonics, and high frequency words, but he is below average, below third grade level in vocabulary and comprehension. His overall Lexile score, and this is going to change, is 513, which 513, you're going to have to go back to that Lexile chart. We know that that is into second grade, beginning of third grade. So he's behind. Some other things we know about him is he struggles with making connections with content area vocabulary. He doesn't understand affixes. He has difficulty with figurative language, and that is impacting his comprehension due to his vocabulary knowledge. So like you did in the first case study, you're going to write up a summary explaining where the student's strengths and areas of growth. You're going to write 3 measurable SMART goals for the student, and then 3 instructional strategies to help the student. Now, we know there's probably a lot of things a student needs help with, but what are the 3 things that you're going to prioritize? And then how will you integrate faith? Remember, that's always a part of our case studies. And so don't forget to go to your rubric to make sure you know how it's going to be graded. We are going to be graded on, is the summary accurate? Does it portray the student in a non-judgmental, but just the facts kind of way? Do you have 3 measurable SMART goals? So again, we're looking for measurable goals. They need to be developmentally appropriate and aligned with the needs of the student. Are your instructional strategies, are they aligned with the goals that you have? Are they detailed? Do they demonstrate students' understanding of the intervention? And then, of course, your faith integration. Have you intentionally integrated faith in how you are going to share Christ with this student in a legal way, whether it would be in a private or a public school? Okay, so those are your 2 assignments today. Now I want to talk to you about a few things related to vocabulary and share some information with you. So I prepared something for you guys, so let me get that here. Okay, So hopefully you can see this. So I'm going to be sharing with you about vocabulary instruction. So let's go ahead and get started. And unfortunately, when I have it in that mode, it's hard for me to see. So I'm just going to do it in this mode. So the first thing I want to talk to you about are the different types of uh, vocabulary and different kind of words. The first, we have tier 1, 2, and 3. Your tier 1 words are your basic words. They're common words learned through conversation and interaction and discussion. That's why that oral language is so important. Examples of tier 1 words might be dog, house, run, big, share. They're all common words. Some techniques that you're going to use are going to be a lot of visual supports, pictures, repetition, gestures, context, pairing spoken words with visual words. So that'll be important. And you don't necessarily need direct, explicit instruction for your tier 1 words because these are words that you can generally teach in context. Now, a lot of your English language learners will not know their tier 1 words. So it's going to be important that those kids will probably need those tier 1 words. They haven't learned them yet. So that's why those visual supports are so important. Then we get to tier 2 words. Tier 2 words are our academic words. They appear in multiple contexts and they do require explicit instruction. Many times, tier 2 words are synonyms. They have synonyms and antonyms, or they're more precise words for a common word. So, students learn maybe another word for a familiar word. So, instead of saying pretty, they might learn the word gorgeous. Instead of walk, they might learn the word amble. So, exultant, delighted, those are all tier 2 words or more academic words. Um, Many times to replace more of a common word. Some teaching techniques that, oh, and I also want to say with academic words, they're going to come in multiple contexts, okay? So you might want to use word maps or semantic maps, which if you don't know what that is, I'm going to show you. You might want to show how these words are used in different contexts. So that will be something. And then, for example, I had the word compare. Compare could be used in science and it could be used in literature. Then we have our tier 3 words. Those are our domain specific words. So these are words that are specific to a specific subject or content. You know, in my area of reading, a phoneme would be a morpheme. Those are examples of content area words. Um, uh, uh, Equilateral, it's a math term, a phoneme, a tangent, a molecule. Those are all domain specific and they usually only have one meaning. And we can look at Latin and Greek layers to figure out what that word means. We're going to introduce words as they arise in the curriculum. We want to use anchor charts, graphic organizers, and we do need direct instruction for domain specific words. So if you are a science teacher, you're going to have specific domain specific words for science. For reading, I will have specific ones for reading. If you are teaching social studies, you might have more domain specific words. So as a reading specialist, this is where you will be working with your classroom teachers. If you're in middle school and high school, you're going to be working with your content area teachers to make sure that you're supporting this vocabulary instruction with these domain specific words. So let's talk about a few strategies. One great strategy is a word map. This is an example of a word map where you're going to put the word in the middle, you're going to write the definition, and then you're going to give examples of the word, and then you're going to explain what it is like. So here's an example. If we were teaching the word polygon, that's a math term, right? Well, we know that a polygon, what's it like? Well, a polygon is made up of line segments. So a student has to know what a line segment is. It's a closed figure. It's a plane figure. It has straight sides and it's two-dimensional. Those are what it's like. So I've pretty much defined polygon, haven't I? Examples of polygons are a pentagon, a hexagon, a rhombus, and we know that it is a mathematical shape. So that is a concept map, which is really going to help in more of that domain specific words. Venn diagrams are very easy to use also. Now, with Venn diagrams, you might use a Venn diagram when you're teaching academic words, right? So you might have students use a Venn diagram to um, uh, I think when I was teaching, if something was uh, a reptile or a mammal, you might be able to categorize them that way, right? And use that Venn diagram. So, Venn diagram is comparing words, and you're going to have the property. The property is distinct for some words, and then how are those common properties? Another strategy is what we call semantic features analysis. And this helps students to discern meaning along a continuum. And so, let me give you an example. I think the best way is just to show you. So, here we have a semantic feature analysis grid, and our word is transportation, which is a pretty broad word, isn't it? And so I've listed up at the top, it has features, and I have past, engine, animal, present, wheel, and then I have a car, a wagon, a bus, a jet, and a camel. And so what we can do is we can say a car. Okay, a car is in the present. It has wheels. A wagon is in the past. It has wheels, a bus, it has an engine. So we're gonna put all the X's. So what we can see is that transportation happens in the past. It happens in the uh, it has wheels. It could be an engine. It could be an animal. So it's giving us a broader picture of what a concept could be, and it's a bigger concept. So that transportation, that's going to be a tier 2 word, right? Because transportation needs to be taught. It can be taught in multiple contexts. Another thing that you can do is what we call a linear array. And so here we have the words minuscule, tiny, large, small, and average. So having students to put those in order from least or from the smallest to the largest. And what we're teaching kids is we're teaching them precision in vocabulary. So if something is minuscule, that's smaller than if something was tiny. So precision, that's important in vocabulary. So this is a good word if you were teaching adjectives. Then we have what we call four square vocabulary. This is where we're going to put the word in the first box. So let's say the word is soothing. In box 2, we're going to describe, give examples. So music is soothing, a bath is soothing, a nap is soothing. What are non-examples? Tests are not soothing, and a loud noise is not soothing. And then in the fourth box, the students would write their own definitions. So again, I'm just sharing a few strategies with you. The last thing I want to show you is a book called Word Nerds, and this was actually written by 3 friends of mine. And I was a professor with Dr. Overturf at the University of Louisville. And then Leslie and Margot were teachers that I worked with, and they wrote this book. And they wrote this book based on a graduate class. So it's a really good book, Word Nerds. If you haven't, if you can order it, I would strongly suggest it. So I wanted to show you some things from Word Nerds that Leslie and Margot came up with, and I think you're going to find this pretty helpful. Might take me a second. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to try my something else here. Okay, I think I'm ready. Okay, this is all from Word Nerds, so I'm going to give them credit for this. So I want to show you a couple things that they have in Word Nerds. And the first thing that they have is a vocabulary planner. And I would really suggest doing this. So as you're planning your instruction, maybe for a unit that you're in, you need to think about what vocabulary needs explicit instruction. You need to think, what is science and social studies and my ELA? And plan that by writing the word, writing a kid-friendly definition, have your sentence prepared, have your synonyms and antonyms, a picture, and then idioms. And this is something that kids can keep track of too. So we're not just writing a definition. And what research shows is, don't just give kids a word and have them write the definition. They don't learn anything from that. Another thing that's not very effective is writing words in sentences. I had my middle son literally wrote, he had like 5 sentence, stems, and he would just use the same sentence stem, to put his vocabulary words in, and unfortunately, he usually got an A because the teacher didn't read them very carefully. Okay, so let's go down. Oh, sorry about that. Go back to this PDF. So that planner is very good. Another thing that they have is the adapted Frere model. You've probably heard of this. So this is where we're going to put our definition in the middle. I'm sorry, our word. So I'm going to go back to that word transportation. If you had the word transportation, you're going to provide a definition, a picture. So we know transportation could be a lot of different things, synonyms with examples, antonyms or non-examples, and then a sentence. So I know I told you that writing it in a sentence isn't always helpful. It is in this case if we're providing all the other context. Now, this is adapted for a model for English language learners, and you can see that they've added connection to the word. So how are they personally connected to that word? That's going to help your ELL learners. So that's something that says a little bit different for them. Okay, last thing I want to show you is called a crystal ball words. And we can see that this is when you're taking a word, and this is usually going to be it'll be a tier 2 or tier 3 word, probably a tier 3 word. You're going to have the word, and we're going to break it apart by what's its prefix, its root, and its suffix. So I'm going to show you an example that I did. We're sticking with that word transportation. So transportation. Transportation has the prefix trans. So you're going to first teach, what does the prefix trans mean? And students need to know that trans means across. So you have to teach that prefix. You need to teach the suffix. ATION, that is a suffix, and that means an action, an act, or a process. Then we have what's left is the word port. Port is a root word that means to carry in Latin. So remember, you're teaching all of these. You're teaching what the prefix trans means, and think about how it's going to help kids' vocabulary. Then you're going to brainstorm with the kids. What are other words that have trans as a prefix? Well, transparent, transmission, transport, transatlantic. You could list tons. In the example in Word Nerds, Leslie's class came with 41 different words. Then you're going to brainstorm words with port in them, portal, transport, import, export. And then lastly, what are words with the suffix ATION? Location, celebration, population, precipitation. And so we can see that by doing this, what I love about teaching these crystal ball words is that now kids are not just learning transportation, but you've given them the tools to learn all of these other words because they know that trans means across, port means carry, and ATION means act. So we know that transportation is the act or process of carrying across. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk to you about vocabulary. Vocabulary should be fun. It should be where kids get to learn new words across all academic areas. And again, you need to know what words you're teaching. You need to know, okay, is it tier 1, 2, or 3? And depending on the tier, that's going to depend on the strategy. So again, some of your students, your ELL learners, they're going to need more support with those tier 1 words, those common words that they don't know. But the techniques are a little bit different than if you were doing a tier 2 or a tier 3 word. Well, that's all I have for module 5 for vocabulary. If you have any questions, let me know. And don't forget, we do have our uh, weekly, and it's voluntary office hours where you can pop in. And for this class, it is every Thursday from 4 to 5 o'clock. Okay, have a great day.